Have you ever noticed how different you feel depending on who you're with? How your voice changes around a boss, or how you laugh a little louder around friends? Maybe how you sometimes agree with something you don't even believe in, just because everyone else seems to. That is social psychology in action. It's the invisible web that connects and sometimes controls us all. Social psychology is the study of how people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are shaped by the presence of others. Sometimes it's direct, like peer pressure or leadership. Other times it's silent and subtle, woven into our habits and sense of self. We like to think we're independent thinkers, but the truth is, every social situation rewrites us a little. At its core, social psychology explores how we think, behave, and influence one another. Social thinking is how we read the invisible world between people, the process of interpreting cues, anticipating what others might think, and adjusting our behavior to fit the moment. It's understanding what others feel, want, and what their actions reveal when words fall short. At its core, it's perception, the ability to step outside yourself and see a moment through someone else's eyes. As we read these social cues, we turn inward, comparing their reactions to our own, shaping who we believe we are. Every glance or half smile tells a story. Sometimes we read it right, sometimes we don't, but we're always searching for meaning. It's how we connect the world outside with the one inside, the bridge between observation and understanding. Social behavior is what happens when our inner world meets the outer one, when thoughts, feelings, and instincts take shape through interaction. It's the way we connect, communicate, cooperate, or even withdraw in response to others. These behaviors range from kindness and collaboration to conflict and competition, each revealing how deeply we're shaped by the people around us. Social behavior doesn't exist in isolation. It's molded by family, culture, and the silent expectations around us. The values we inherit and the groups we belong to subtly guide how we act, think, and move through the world. Social influence is the quiet current that moves through every group, shaping opinions, decisions, and identity. It happens in subtle ways, through the suggestions, expectations, and behaviors of those around us. Sometimes it's gentle, other times it's powerful enough to shift what we believe is right or true. We follow trends, align with groups, and absorb emotions without realizing it. Influence isn't always manipulation. It's the human pull toward connection and belonging. But when we recognize it, we begin to choose our own direction instead of being quietly steered. Beneath these three pillars run quiet motives that drive us all: the need to belong, to be understood, and to make sense of others. We adapt to the people around us, adjusting our behavior to fit the moment. Those instincts make us adaptable, and sometimes too adaptable. In groups, our individuality softens. Our desire for harmony can override our need for truth. That's where groupthink begins. Groupthink happens when the desire for harmony outweighs independent thought. People silence their doubts to keep the peace, trading critical thinking for comfort. No one wants to be the one who stands apart, so they stay quiet, even when something feels wrong. It's the same instinct behind conformity, the subtle urge to align with others even when we disagree. Through social identity, we define ourselves by the groups we belong to, finding pride and protection in belonging, but also drawing invisible lines between us and them. It can harden into bias, the roots of prejudice and exclusion, causing communities to divide. We all carry the instinct to conform, but in groups, individuality blurs, and that's how we lose ourselves to the crowd. What begins as trust or belonging can quietly shift into influence and control. And that's where the darker side of social psychology starts to reveal itself, when influence becomes deliberate and connection turns into manipulation. It's not just about how people act in groups, but how they're guided to act. That's because human beings are storytellers. We crave meaning, belonging, and certainty, and those cravings make us vulnerable to anyone who promises them. Advertisers know this. Politicians know this. Cult leaders know this. They appeal not to logic, but to emotion. Now, we'll go over some of the psychological tactics used to steer behavior. Authority. We tend to trust confidence over evidence, the right tone, the right outfit, the right certainty, and suddenly we follow without question, because confidence feels like safety, and safety feels like the truth. Social proof. If everyone else believes it, it must be right. It's the force behind viral trends, online mobs, and quiet agreement. We like to think we're forming opinions, but half the time we're just echoing the loudest voice. Scarcity and fear. Tell people they might miss out, or the danger is near, and reason shuts down. Survival takes over. It's the countdown clock, the breaking news banner, the illusion that time is running out. Emotional triggering. Outrage and fear travel faster than facts, and when we feel deeply, we think less critically. That's why manipulation so often hides inside emotion, because feelings are easier to steer than logic. Those who understand that can use it to connect or to control. Over time, these tactics redefine what's seen as normal, acceptable, even moral, shaping not just behavior, but entire ideologies. And here's the haunting part. Most of the time, we don't notice it happening. We think we're choosing when really we're being nudged. Social persuasion isn't always sinister. It's part of being human. But awareness is protection. When you can spot the difference between persuasion and manipulation, you start reclaiming your autonomy. You stop being the audience and become the observer. Once you see how easily influence moves through the world, something inside you shifts. You realize how often our silence or agreement isn't genuine, it's inherited. The ads we scroll past, the headlines we skim, even the tone of someone we admire, all of it shapes us in quiet, invisible ways. But awareness is the great disruptor, because once you notice the strings, you can decide which ones you'll still let pull you. Social psychology doesn't just expose manipulation, it reminds us we're all capable of it. Every word we speak, every reaction we post, every judgment we make ripples outward, shaping someone else's reality. That's the beauty and the responsibility of being human. We're constantly shaping each other's minds, whether we mean to or not. Understanding that power keeps it from controlling us. It helps us pause before we follow the crowd, question before we react, and most importantly, take back ownership of our thoughts. Because when you understand how people influence people, you stop living on autopilot. You start choosing your perspective instead of absorbing one. That's where freedom begins, quietly, internally, with awareness. Thanks again for watching another episode of Psychology Deep Dive. I really appreciate you taking the time to dive into the human mind with me. If you'd like to keep exploring, Please like this video and subscribe to catch the next psychology deep dive. And remember, the next time you catch yourself changing your tone to fit in or staying silent when you disagree, remember, that's social psychology whispering in your ear.